Happy Independence Day. Happy White History Month. Thank you, SCOTUS, for ending systemic racism. Finally, we did it. Thank you, Trump. I know I said I wasn't going to do the show, and then I did the show anyway. The thing is, I got some things on my mind, but I also have some things to do, so I'm not going to run this thing long. I know I could do that, but I'm not. It's not what I'm going to do here tonight. It's the 4th of July. I didn't get to see any fireworks. I had to work. So, because of the works, I didn't get to see the works. I did find this fucking banging passage from Plato, though. Pretty tight. Pretty dope. Alright. So let's start right here where I put my bookmarker. Page 114 in the Republic. Yet surely I said this ferocity only comes from spirit, which, if rightly educated, would give courage, but if too much intensified is liable to become hard and brutal. That I quite think. On the other hand, the philosopher will have the quality of gentleness, and this also, when too much indulged, will turn to softness, but, if educated rightly, will be gentle and moderate. True. And in our opinion, the guardians ought to have both these qualities, assuredly, and both should be in harmony, beyond question. And the harmonious soul is both temperate and courageous. Yes, and the inharmonious is cowardly and boorish. Very true. And when a man allows music to play upon him, and to pour into his soul through the funnel of his ears, those sweet and soft and melancholy airs of which we were just now speaking, and his whole life is passed in warbling the delights of song, in the first stage of the process the passion or spirit which is in him is tempered, like iron, made useful instead of brittle and useless. But if he carries on the softening and soothing process, in the next stage he begins to melt and waste, until he has wasted away his spirit and cut out the sinews of his soul, and he becomes a feeble warrior. Very true. If the element of spirit is naturally weak in him, the change is speedily accomplished, but if he have a good deal, then the power of music, weakening the spirit, renders him excitable. On the least provocation he flames up at once, and is speedily extinguished. Instead of having a spirit, he grows irritable and passionate, and is quite impracticable. Exactly. And so in gymnastics. If a man takes violent exercise, and is a great feeder, and the reverse of a great student of music and philosophy, at first the high condition of his body fills him with pride and spirit, and he becomes twice the man that he was. Certainly. And what happens, if he do nothing else, and holds no converse with the Muses? Does not even the intelligence which there may be in him, having no taste of any sort of learning or inquiry, or thought or culture, grow feeble and dull and blind, his mind never waking up or receiving nourishment, and his senses not being purged of their mists? True, he said. And he ends by becoming a hater of philosophy, uncivilized, never using the weapon of persuasion. He is like a wild beast, all violence and fierceness, and knows no other way of dealing, and he lives in all ignorance and evil conditions, and has no sense of propriety and grace. That is quite true, he said. And as there are two principles of human nature, one the spirited and the other philosophical, some God, as I should say, has given mankind two arts answering to them, and only indirectly, to the soul and body, in order that these two principles, like the strings of an instrument, may be relaxed or drawn tighter until they are duly harmonized. That appears to be the intention. And he who mingles music with gymnastic in the fairest proportions, and best attempers them to the soul, may be rightly called the true musician and harmonist in a far higher sense than the tuner of the strings. You are quite right, Socrates. All right. I drawn to my conclusion. My third option. Traitors, all of us. You've celebrated the 4th of July. Congratulations. You have celebrated treason. That's the truth, and I'm sticking to it. I have a new opportunity in front of me, and I'm weighing the pros and cons of this opportunity. It's a work-related opportunity, but it's also a life opportunity where I may get to achieve a new, I'll have a new certification in behavioral health, and I'll be able to work with clients with special needs and maybe have some more accommodating hours. The pay is pretty good. It's closer to home, and it might be a good change of pace for me. So I'll have to see what happens with that. The initial interview went pretty good. Of course, there's going to be a follow-up and background checks and all of that good stuff. Should be fine. I wrote this, and I'll finish with it. As of late, I fear decision and indecision equally. Both could prove to be perilous, but the latter most certainly is. So, thoughts and prayers. Much love. Be well. Happy Freedom Day, Freedom Night. Be well and be kind, and don't do anything the ape wouldn't do. All right. Good night.